Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is NFGeeks. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on NFGeeks. You've been waiting a long time.
Yeah.
I kept them waited, but this is perfect, yes. So thank you for being patient. I appreciate that very much.
The most I can do.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, really. Yeah. So Ryan is an INTJ, and this is a great opportunity. I'm always happy to have INTJs come on NFGeeks. So we're going to talk a little bit about INTJ, and then we'll talk about being an NT. All right.
Okay.
All right. So So INTJs, one of the things they're notorious for doing is to debate something in a critical way, not a nasty way, but in a critical way. And if the INTJ arguments cannot be refuted anymore, they sort of adopt the idea. So basically, it's sort of taking an idea and picking at it. And if it meets if it sustains the attack, the INTJ will accept it. Does that seem good, bad, right, wrong? How does that connect with you?
I do that. I'm just trying to think of an exact example or an extent. I mean, in class we went over the method of two things going at each other, and one.
Hegel.
Hegel. So I guess it's almost of that nature.
Yeah, actually, it is. It's dialectic.
And I didn't even know I was doing it. So, there we go.
So you were doing that anyway. That's what you're saying, that process
Right.
of a dialectic
But
before.
as both sides merge, you said how one always has to be on top.
Mm-hmm.
I won't settle for the bottom. So.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I agree. See, Crystal is already arguing.
Yeah.
She's already going at it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I would like to talk about one more thing with INTJs positive is that INTJs are sort of known for also sort of being refiners. You know what I mean?
That's it. This is all the positive things.
No, there's a lot of positive things.
Oh, okay.
Oh, poor Ryan. No, there's a lot, but we got to get to other stuff. You know what I mean? We can't dawdle on this. Poor Ryan. But they are sort of refiners. So they take an idea and sort of refine it and make it better. They could see how it could be better. What do you think about that? Is that something that you've experienced or connect with?
I do that in a sense. I make it work for myself. Because if I'm trying to do something, and I'll take the idea that's most molded to me, and then I'll try to critique it to make it better for myself, so I can use it.
Okay, that's perfect. All right, so something that has been talked about on the forum back and forth to a certain degree, even controversially, but this would be good to hear your input. I think all the other INTJs would like to hear this. And that is, INTJs sometimes have some difficulty navigating the social world and sort of dealing with people, talking with people, just having relationships, especially in a crowded sense because they're introverted.
Right.
What kind of, how do you feel about that? And to what degree is that true, false? Where does this come up in your world?
One reason that I believe that I was an introvert, or am an introvert, is because through my high school and middle school and elementary school career, for lack of a better term, I was always pushed to the side. So I'm used to not being heard. So now it's more or less, I'm picky about when I'm going to be heard, but when I want to talk, I'm going to fully put myself into the conversation.
Oh.
So it's more or less I've been confined for all so long that the skillet's bubbling, and now when I get to go free, it's just a burst of energy.
How would you rate your social skills? Like on just ballpark, like scale of 1 to 10. What would you give it yourself? Your basic social skills.
My ability to communicate.
Communicate and also like interact with people in a positive way, like at a party or something, or just with friends.
I honestly give it a 5.
5.
And the reasoning for that, if you're interested, is because
I am interested.
I feel like I can communicate with people, and they want to hear me. I don't mind hearing them, unless it's like totally like left field stupid.
See, that's INTJ.
Yes.
Yeah.
But where the line's kind of drawn is if they try to give me an argument, or an argument comes up and they have a difference in my opinion, I'm obviously not going to let up. And I don't expect them to. So just the idea of there always being like a butting of heads. I mean, it doesn't help that if you follow the horoscope sign that I'm an Aries either. I mean, it's a rant.
Oh, that's perfect. All the INTJs are applauding.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, that actually leads to something that normally I don't talk with INTJs, but I know that you hold this position, and most INTJs I know hold the same position, although not all, and that is atheism. And so I'd like to just briefly, if you could talk about what are your feelings about atheism, and well, not your feelings. What are your thoughts about atheism? And
Good catch.
yeah, sometimes I get lucky. What are your thoughts about atheism, and how did you arrive at it?
I'm not sure exactly how I arrived at it, but my thoughts on it are life's too short, and it's not that I want to do what I'm going to do because I'm not that thick-headed, but at the same time, I don't feel like I need to live for something else, never mind anyone else. Therefore, the idea of using religion as restrictions just doesn't really like float my boat. And that's basically what I look at, guidelines as of restrictions. I'm not for the idea of religion. I'm just against the idea of the backing truth and there actually needing to be a God to enforce these laws. Because if people are going to enforce these laws or want to enforce these laws, they're going to. And that falls into, I think, I forget exactly who it was a few classes ago. Who was before Hegel? Hobbes?
I think it was the ethics people, and then Hobbes before that.
I think it began with an M. You said, I remember he was on this part of the board. He said something along the lines of, if someone kills someone, that's their problem, it's not ours.
Oh yeah, it was Kant, moral agency. I was talking about moral agency,
that.
yes.
And I'm kind of for that. So,
Moral agency. Well, I
in a
think he
way.
was an NT, so I'm not surprised that
There
you
you
would
go.
be. That's my theory. Kant was an NT. All right, but let me ask you this. Do you ever encounter religious people then? Do you ever encounter somebody who's religious and hears this and gives you crap? Do you ever have that intersection?
Once this was in my senior year of high school. What happened was there was like some debate. It wasn't even about religion on a forum. No, it was on Facebook. Some under comments on Facebook. And I said something along the lines of, someone mentioned something, and I believe my thought process was, how about we try to be like tranquil and calm, like in a church or something? And because, no, someone else said that, and my reaction was, of course everyone's calm in a church. If you're all under the same belief, then there's nothing to argue, or something like that. And then I mentioned, well, I wouldn't fully know that because I don't go to church. I thought it would be nice to actually, mention, so I'm not looked at as being like, like I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to state, my prerequisite or,
Sure.
my credentials or lack of. So someone actually was like, oh my God, you don't go to church? I'm not going to tell you why that's wrong, but then proceeds to actually read a few paragraphs of why it's wrong, which I loved. And then I sat there and literally picked apart, like, I don't know if other INTJs do this, but the way I argued it is, I'll take your first paragraph, say, okay, you said this, and here's why I believe it's wrong. And it's more like bullet points of paragraphs.
Yes, sentence for sentence. Yeah, they'll do that in a thread, like, right? Yeah.
So I've done that.
Absolutely.
And literally, the response was something along the lines of, well, you have acne and you're ugly. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then my favorite was at the ending. This was like the day before Easter.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, what kind of Christian are you to tell me that? What would Jesus do? And they didn't even respond, to my knowledge. So I kind of used that against them.
Yep. All right. Well, I'll tell you, that's a very common NT. I can't wait to see the comments. It's a very common NT position and interaction
Don't hate me.
and problem. Oh, the INTJs aren't hating you. They're like, yes. They're applauding.
All 2% of the population,
Still, they're your brethren and sisters. They're applauding. There's somebody on your team, you know.
Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's talk about being an NT in general. And so one of the things that intuitive thinkers are known for is to appreciate or to be ingenious. And that sort of talks about the, with the with refining things, and Crystal talked about that. Can you speak about it in a more general sense? Maybe not so much, you could talk about your own ingenuity, but appreciating it sort of in the world.
Like knowing that I'm...
Well, it could be knowing that your own ingenuity or somebody who was ingenious, like something else, like, wow, look what they did, you know?
Exactly. I go by strategic, like, and I go by like a book. I'm not one for actually conjuring my own thoughts most of the time. I have to have something to work off of. I guess you can call it parasitic in a way. I'm not known for coming up with my own thoughts. It's more like I'll take this and mend it.
Oh, that's back to the refining.
Right. But other than that, I don't like to toot my own horn. I don't think that I'm... It's not that I don't think I'm smart. It's not that I think everyone else is stupid either. It's just... Yeah, I like to think I'm logical. And I indirectly, I guess, expect most other people to be. So when someone comes at me with something illogical, it's like, yeah, how do you expect to actually, how's that going to hold water in court? So, yeah.
All right. Another thing that NTs are appreciative of is knowledge, and knowledge that is sort of foundational in the sense that it's been put through rigor, as opposed to religion. Meaning scientific, so through scientific debate or philosophical debate,
Okay.
Observational knowledge, knowledge that can be sound.
Okay.
How do you think about that in your life and just intellectually?
Like the way I approach things?
Sure. In terms of knowledge. Well, let me put it this way. What would you consider to be good knowledge and bad knowledge?
That's too philosophical. 15-minute video, come on.
Just quickly off the top of your head, what's good knowledge?
Good knowledge is something
If you
that
had to
makes you
sum it up,
progress.
go ahead. All right. No.
Something that could make you progress and or, I guess for a philosophical term, reach enlightenment?
Okay, sure, we can live with that. All right, what's bad knowledge then?
The opposite.
Well, what does that mean?
Or, well, not even anything that makes you regress, or to a sense, depending on how you want to look at it, anything that doesn't make you move at all.
Okay, stagnate.
Right. But at the same time, I'm not totally against that, because I like to look at it as you're not regressing. So it's just you're not moving anywhere, just haul ass.
So there's a hierarchy.
Right.
Right. You may not be doing great, but you're not doing the worst you could possibly be doing.
Right.
Either. NTs, and I should have asked Chris this, NTs sort of are good at and like using technical knowledge. When I mean technical knowledge, not necessarily knowledge of actual technology, but the words that are used in a specific system of thought or a system of being. So people are into computers, like using computer vocabulary, and they can do it very easily. People who are into NTs that are into economics can use the economic vocabulary very quickly and very easily.
Like diction?
Yes,
choice?
sure. Yes, that's fine. How do you think about that? How is that in your life?
In an argument, I try to approach things as scholarly as I can, but that always doesn't hold up because I'm human. So,
All right. Are you able to understand the terms and use the terms fairly easily?
depending on how big the word is, if I've known it before and how many times I've used it or practiced it, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, Ryan, thanks a lot for being on NFGeeks. So remember, you can follow NFGeeks on Twitter and on Tumblr, and join us on the Facebook forum on the NFGeeks discussion group. And new videos every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. So, Ryan, thank you so much for being on this. It was. We should mention one thing is that we weren't sure if you were an INTJ or an ISTJ. It took a little bit.
Yeah.
We wanted to, so that's why it took a while for. I wanted to make sure, but after this video, I'm convinced that you're an INTJ, right? There's this was perfect. So I'm glad we waited to figure it out.
I have more evidence if we can have another video.
No, well, go ahead. You can say it right now if you get it quick.
No. One of the things that I had an argument with, I'm not going to get into what the argument was about, but how I approached it was, you're using how you feel as a backing argument to why you should be doing this, and I'm saying, yeah, but that's not how we were taught in school. We were taught in school to approach things in a certain way so we can use them in life, so I thought, or I'd need to actually go back in school and take another 12 years because apparently I didn't learn anything.
Oh, poor Ryan. Yes.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you very much. And Ryan, I want if you could let the viewers know that it's happening. So go ahead and say it.
It's happening.
It's happening. That's right. It's happening.
It's happening all over global.
Oh yes, see, you get it. That's right.
Universal.
Yes. Thank you, Ryan.